Hello everyone in Oneness, thank you so much for watching this video. In Oneness we are Abe. So this is going to be part 5 of the 4 realms of Gaia and opening to magic. And what we're going to be talking about in this video is going to surround bees. So let me explain. The past few days I've been noticing this bee that's been coming around my window right where I work. And it's been coming around every single day for at least a week or so. Finally, I realized, I think this bee is trying to tell me something. And then what started to come through was this bee and its connection to this information about the realms of Gaia that I've been bringing through. And so I was like, all right. So I guess the next video about the realms of Gaia is going to be surrounding something about bees. And so when I sat down to tap into the information for this video, they directed me to something that came through. I looked back, it was November 16th, 2018 of last year. And something came through about bees. At that time, I realized, I want to post this, but I feel like it's incomplete. So I'm not going to post it right now, and I don't feel called to post it. I'll post it when I feel ready. And finally, right now, they're telling me it's now time to post it. It's part of this Realms of Gaia information. And when I looked through it, it did mention the realms of Gaia. So interestingly enough, it all connects. And that also does not surprise me as things have been unfolding that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read to you the transmission that came through last November 16th, 2018. And then we will get into more information that I dug a little bit further, wanting to know a little bit more on how the information that came through last November connects even further to the realms of Gaia and opening to magic. So let's get right into it. The bees are connected to the sun in some way. This was my first thought form. I'm seeing the bees and the sun is like in the middle of a sunflower, and they're connected somehow. Yesterday, bees popped into my head because I was thinking of the honeycombs and how there are individual honeycombs, but each of them come together to make up the bigger picture. Each little section of the honeycomb is like a puzzle piece in the bigger puzzle. I asked myself, the bees are disappearing. How is this connecting to the information that's starting to come through? Why are the bees disappearing? How are they disappearing? And then I thought, they are scientifically linked to something in the air, destruction of forests, other things, etc., etc. And what came through at that point was bees in Lemuria. So I started making the connection that bees existed in Lemuria. And then I heard the word elementals in reference to the bees. Like the bees are in the same realm as, for example, the fairies. But the bees make themselves visible to us. But the bees are also almost the same thing as fairies. We can put them in the same categories, so to speak, along with all of the other elementals. The bees, however, like I said, are a little bit different because they make themselves visible to us. And what came through is because they have a purpose to help humans and to help the planet on a bigger, grander scale. And then what came through was I see a vision of the bees as little shards of Ra, energy of Ra. Not incarnations of Ra, but just energy of Ra. What came through is they existed in the time of Lemuria, and the Lemurians were able to communicate with the bees. And then I asked, did Ra exist in Lemuria? And when I say Ra being the sun god, the energy connected through the sun, very close to source, very close to that energy of oneness, but is sort of brought through the sun in a way. It aligns with the energy of the sun. Again, I asked, did Ra exist in Lemuria? And what came through is no, Ra existed in Atlantis, not Lemuria. I asked, so like a physical incarnation of Ra? And what came through is yes. Atlanteans loved Ra. Lemurians loved the bees. Lemurians did not integrate a hindered form of worship like the Atlanteans worshipped Ra. Atlanteans worshipped Ra not in a good way. Atlanteans saw Ra as an outside god, not within. So basically what came through is that the Atlanteans came together, they were able to join their hearts together in this space of worshiping a god that they felt was outside of them. And this god was the sun god Ra. So they worshipped Ra with their hearts. It joined many of them together. However, joining their hearts together in the worship of a god that they found or they perceived as outside of them actually hindered their hearts as these joined hearts. So we can begin making that connection to this group of people thinking that, they are connecting to this higher power through their hearts. But really what it's doing is it's hindering their hearts as they are connecting to something outside of them. And what came through is that the Atlanteans began to open more to those hindered hearts within them. Not from Ra, not from the god Ra or the energy of Ra, but from the outside worship of Ra. And then what was shown to me was basically how we are with religion right now. When you see a god as outside of you, you think that through religion that you are joining hearts with this higher aspect, and you're joining hearts with everyone else who worships the same God. But it doesn't really empower you to believe that the God is within you. It gives power to you worshiping something else. And that is why there are hindrances to religion and hindrances to worshiping these things that are outside of you. Meanwhile, what came through was that Lemurians connected to Ra, so they still connected to the energy of Ra, but through the bees and the sun, not through an outside worship. I asked, why was Ra physically incarnated in Atlantis and not Lemuria? And what came through was, Lemurians did not need a physical incarnation of a god to know their connection to the gods, to source, and to everything. Atlanteans had the physical incarnation of a god because they asked for one. And so I asked, was Ra a physical incarnation? Like, did Ra have a body, a physical body? And what came through was no. Ra was a physical incarnation in the minds of the Atlanteans. Ra was the sun god. Atlanteans worshipped the sun and created Ra, the sun god, into a deity that was outside of them. Lemurians worshipped the sun and the sun god Ra too, but did not see Ra as outside of them. Lemurians saw Ra as part of them and within them. So it was mentioned that Ra was a physical incarnation in Atlantis, but now we're seeing how it was a physical incarnation through the minds of people. They physically manifested basically this deity of Ra that they could worship. That's what they mean by it. The bees hold energy of Ra now just as much as they did in Lemuria and Atlantis. Bees existed in both Lemuria and Atlantis, but the knowledge of Ra in the bees was lost to the Atlanteans because they were busy worshipping Ra as an outside god. Lemurians connected to the bees and knew the purpose that they held. The bees were an important part of the way of life for the Lemurians. They knew that the bees were not only bees, but held the energy of Ra and the energy of life. The Lemurians were joined in the heart. Lemurians joined hearts with the bees in order to open the portal of oneness and love energy. I asked, so did the bees open the portal of oneness and love energy? And what came through was no. The energy of Ra on the planet and the sun and the joined hearts of Lemurians opened the portal of oneness and love. Gaia also assisted in opening the portal with Ra and the other elementals, such as the bees. It's not always easy to hold oneness and love. The portal kept this knowledge of oneness and love and strengthened oneness and love in the Lemurians and within the energy of the Lemurians and the land of Lemuria. What also came through is that the bees were not able to open the portal in Atlantis, this portal of oneness and love, because the Atlanteans were hindered in their hearts and did not know oneness and love and did not connect to the bees. They worshipped Ra in a hindered way as a god outside of themselves. So by worshiping this god outside of themselves, they were unable to see all these other things that they held within, such as that energy of oneness and love, their connection to the bees, and other things like that. So the bees are a reminder to people of Earth of their connection to the Earth, to Ra and the sun. I asked, why are the bees disappearing? And what came through is they are being hindered by the inner Earth portal / sun being dimmed or closed from the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis. So around the time that I was bringing through this transmission last November, I had done a video about Ra energy restoring 3D inner Earth heart. So basically Ra energy restoring the heart of inner Earth sun, because the Earth holds a heart as well, and that is like the core of the planet. And I'm going to put a link to that video below for you to watch and gain more information of what we're speaking about in this video. And that's basically what I'm talking about when the inner Earth portal or sun being dimmed or closed comes up. What had come through in that video is with the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis and the fall of the Earth basically plunging into the lower dimensions, lower energy, the heart of Gaia very much began to dim in strength and vibration and fire, basically that life fire, very much just like humans and humanity, and how our hearts basically dimmed and fell and went into that darker place. The same thing with Gaia. So now as we are ascending, raising our consciousness, opening up our hearts, the same thing is going on with Gaia. Gaia is beginning to open up her heart again, restoring that heart of Gaia, strengthening her heart, and we are directly contributing to that. So again, what came through is that the bees are disappearing because they have been hindered by the inner Earth portal, that inner Earth sun, that inner Earth heart being dimmed or closed due to the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria, or from the fall. The bees littered the Earth in the time of Lemuria and Atlantis. They helped to create life on the planet. They were the energy of Ra in forms of these little workers that helped to create life on the planet. I asked, if bees are connected to the inner Earth sun or portal / heart, are they also connected to the outer Earth sun? And what came through is yes, the inner Earth sun is a reflection of the outer Earth sun. In the days of Lemuria and Atlantis, the sun was much bigger and brighter. The sun in your 3D Earth is much dimmer than it was in Lemuria and Atlantis. As you move into your 5D Earth, the sun will become bigger and brighter and whiter. It is safe. It is not harmful. The harmfulness of the sun comes from your strong, programmed belief system manifested into your reality. A system created by the lower frequency and dimensional beings to prevent you from connecting to your sun. Those of you existing in 5D consciousness and awareness see a much bigger and brighter and whiter sun in the sky. This is you moving into the higher dimensions, more towards the sun that existed in the sky during Lemuria and Atlantis. As you join hearts with this 5D, bigger, brighter, and whiter sun, the bees will begin coming back into your existence as physical incarnations of the energy of Ra. Again, not Ra itself, but the energy of Ra, to help your planet once again create new life. They will come back as little Ra workers. In 3D Earth, the sun is changing as well. The bees are connected to the sun and began disappearing in the 3D world because the sun and your connection to the sun and Ra began disappearing with the fall into the lower dimensions and frequencies. And I think it was in that video that I did about Ra energy restoring 3D inner earth heart, restoring the heart of inner earth sun, that I spoke about. They had very strongly connected the information to the movie Moana, and how in that movie the heart of Te Fiti was stolen, and Te Fiti was an earth goddess in that movie. And when the heart was stolen, Te Fiti turned into this darker fire goddess and destroyed the lands and destroyed everything. Everything began dying. The life in the water began dying. The lands began dying. And basically, it was connecting me that this is kind of what happened to our Gaia planet, our Earth planet, when we plunged into the lower dimensions following the fall of Lemuria and Atlantis. The heart of Gaia began to dim. It began to lower in frequency and vibration as well. And with that lowering of the heart, it was almost like its heart was stolen, kind of. And so it basically just became a reflection of our physical earth plane. Okay, so that was the end of the first transmission that I did last November in 2018. And so I'm going to pick it up what came through today. I did this transmission April 22nd, 2019. And I wanted to dig further into why this information was coming up and how it was connected to the realms of Gaia. So my next question was, what does this have to do with the realms of Gaia and magic in this whole series? And what came through is I started connecting to the energy of the bees, and then I saw this one big bee, and it presented itself to me very big. I was like as small as the bee, and I think it was the queen bee, or a queen bee in general. And so the energy of the bees started coming through. And what came through is that the bees exist in the realm of majesty, which is, if you watch part 1 of this video series, I go through the 12 upper realms and the 12 lower realms, and the realm of majesty is the 4th realm of Gaia in the upper realms of Gaia. And so they exist all throughout the first 4 realms of Gaia, as well as the physical plane of Gaia, but I think the 4th realm, the realm of majesty, is kind of like their home base, I want to say, or where they can, where they most resonate with in terms of frequency and vibration, I think. My next question is, do they go beyond the 4th realm of Gaia to the even higher realms? And what came through is yes, indeed, if they want to, but they have found home in the fourth realm because they enjoy their ability to have a physical body and dip into the physical plane of Gaia. If their home existed any higher than the fourth realm, they would not be able to open up into the physical plane of Gaia as they wished. I asked, so how are the bees connected to Avalon and Merlin and magic? How are they connected? And what came through is they are part of the greater whole. Avalon, Merlin, Lemuria, and Atlantis, and the bees, and so much more, are all part of the greater whole. I asked, what message do the bees have for us today? And what came through is, the bees are starting to open up more and more as the heart of Gaia opens up more and more. The bees want humanity to know that in the creation of New Earth 5D is energy of Ra. Ra is an energy of creation. Ra is divine masculine and weaves in and out of both physical and non-physical realms of Gaia. Ra is opening up more and more on the planet with the strengthening of the inner Earth Sun, the heart of Gaia. We, the bees and Ra, do not care about being the center of the stage because we do not want humanity to worship us as a god outside of them. Basically, they're saying we don't want what happened to the Atlanteans to happen all over again to us as humanity. We are bringing our knowledge forward so that humanity can begin to intertwine their energy with us as one, because we are not outside of you. We are within you, and we are you. As you open your heart, you help to open Gaia's heart. As Gaia's heart opens, it allows for more raw energy to flow through the planet and onto the planet. As more raw energy opens on the earth, it opens new creation. In new creation is life. And in life is you, humanity, and all that exists within and without Gaia. The bees are small, but carry mighty power. Humans may be small in the vastness of the infinite universe, but the power a human has, through an open mind, can open magnificent new creations that are far beyond the grasp of what your limiting mind can perceive. I asked, how does this connect more to the realms of Gaia and magic? And what came through is, the realms of Gaia are opening passage for Ra and the bees to open into the physical plane. Ra is held sacred within the realms of Gaia because on your physical plane, divine masculine is open as destructive energy and has been open as destructive energy in your near past. Whenever one side of the coin, meaning energy, is open on your physical plane, the equal and opposite is opened in the stored energy of Gaia. So, for example, if a large amount of hate and fear has been opened on your physical planet in the last 100 years, the equal amount of love has also been opened in the stored energy of Gaia. This energy of love may be the side of the coin that is being stifled, but it still exists and is being held and stored in the realms of Gaia. With the flipping of the coins, the energy will also begin flipping to reveal the energy once hidden underneath, now exposed in truth. The stored energy of Gaia opens into the energetic bodies of Gaia, and so the realms of Gaia have been keeping your higher vibrational energy that was suppressed and stifled for the physical plane safe. I asked, so what does this mean when the coin flips and the love energy is facing up? What happens to that fear and hate energy? Do those energies become stored in the energetic bodies of Gaia as well? Do they open into the realms? And what came through was yes, but the realms of Gaia are higher vibrational and moving into even higher vibrational frequencies with the ascension into New Earth. So, as the lower vibrational side of the coin flips over to open into the stored energy of Gaia, the higher vibrational realms of Gaia act as a cleanser of sorts to transmute the lower vibrational energy. I asked, so the same can be said for divine feminine energy? And what came through was yes, the creative, high vibrational forms of both divine feminine and divine masculine energy have been stored in the realms of Gaia, kept safe until this moment when they can begin opening onto the planet with the flipping of the coins. I asked, any other messages from the bees? And what came through was I had a vision of gardening. Bees work with many light workers who enjoy gardening. Gardeners are light workers of Ra. They are similar in energy to bees, but in a physical human form. Gardeners work with the elements of Gaia and open a haven for bees to help create more life on the planet. Gardeners tap into the realms of Gaia through the bees. The bees open portals in the garden that allow for energy of the realms to come through onto the physical plane. So this also kind of connects me how there are the connections to fairies opening up into people's gardens, and that would make sense. Gardens open portals to the realms and are seen as safe and sacred places or spaces for the energy of the realms to come through and enter into the physical plane. When the bee count began to dwindle in your physical plane, many of the bees retreated back through those portals back to the realms of Gaia, because without strong earth heart, the energy of the bees were not as strong either. But now that the heart of Gaia is strengthening, it offers stronger energy for the bees to come back. It is the end of bees disappearing and the beginning of strong raw energy opening onto the planet. Strong raw energy means a balancing of fear and hate. Religion on your planet is based strongly upon the destructive raw energy, stemming all the way back to the time of Atlantis, when the Atlanteans opened the energy of worshiping a god outside of themselves. This also is connecting me to how, like, for example, the patriarchy within the Catholic religion. It's that destructive sort of divine masculine or masculine energy that is open within religion, which very much connects to what was just said. What came through is that it contributed to the strong downfall of Atlantis, meaning the Atlanteans worshiping a god outside of themselves contributed to the strong downfall of Atlantis. Whenever you hold power to someone or something else outside of you, you take away from the power within you. And so, the slow and steady decline of the Atlanteans were inevitable once they put their power into the god Ra that they worshipped outside of themselves. Religion in your current day is falling, because in opening to higher consciousness, humanity will naturally open to the knowledge of Source within. And in knowing Source within, you do not need to find Source without. This is the return to knowing who you truly are. As more creative divine feminine and divine masculine opens onto the planet through the realms of Gaia who have been keeping them safe, more and more of you in your collective will begin opening up to who you truly are and begin recognizing that you are more powerful than you thought. In your recognition of your own inner power, you take away the power that holds many on high horses. The pillars that hold many up higher than others will begin to crumble, because in knowing the Source you are within comes the recognition that all are equal. The bees, raw energy, and the realms of Gaia are complete. So that's what came through for this video, this part of the 4 realms of Gaia and opening to magic. I still feel like there are a few more parts to this series, so we'll continue bringing through what needs to come through and see how this continues. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you for your support, and I'll see you in the next video. In oneness we are Abe. Oneness and love be with you.